The translation. The Noble Mahina. Khagavastra. F.264.a. Homage to all Buddha and Bodhisattva. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling on the Khalatika mountain, in the abode of the sages hermits, together with an incalculably large assembly of monks and of great Rakas, great Bodhisattva Mahasattva in numbers as limitless as the sands of the river Ganges, forming an incalculably immense assembly of Bodhisattva, were also staying there. The moment the Bhagavan completed his prophecy on the splendid woes of the Tathagatas, the Indraranla jewel 23 appeared in the west. Many hundreds of thousands of precious wish-fulfilling jewels spread out and surrounded it. F.264.b. The light of that precious jewel rendered invisible the totality of manifest form in the whole Trichiliocosm. Thus, with the exception of the Tathagatas, all gods and humans, Rakas, and Bodhisattva, as well as the manifest forms of the great elements of earth, water, fire, and air, however many manifestations there were of the great elements, all without exception were obliterated, and only the precious jewel remained visible. Everything appeared to be limitless, boundless, and ineffable like space. The Bhagavan, too, became to the Khagavastra most radiant, clear, and brilliant. 24. Indeed, the sentient beings assembled there could not even see themselves, or each other. For them, all visible manifestations of the great elements also say sed and became imperceptible to the eye. They could not perceive their bodies, their features 25 or shape, nor did they have a sense of touch. 26 Whatever they observed, howsoever they observed it, they saw as empty. They did not even see the orbs of the sun or the moon, the stars and the earth element, water element, fire element, and air element also became invisible to their eyes. Sounds did not resonate in their ears. Odors were not perceived by their noses. They did not take their minds and their mental events as me, or take them as mine, and the perceptions of the six cognitive bases did not arise. The great elements were also imperceptible. Instead, in whichever direction they looked, in all those directions they saw everything as the physical marks, colors, shapes, and bodies of the Tathagatas. Only the precious Indraranla encircled by wish-fulfilling jewels appeared from afar. Apart from that, nothing at all was visible. F.265.a. At that place, the Bodhisattva dwelling on the 10th ground, who had achieved the meditative concentration of brave progression, and who were bound by one more life and in their last existence, looked and saw, yet were not at all frightened, afraid, or terrified, because they realized that all phenomena are by nature endowed with final reality, suchness, and emptiness. Therefore, they were not at all frightened, afraid, or terrified. The remaining great Bodhisattva Mahasattva, the Rakas, Devas, Angas, Yakas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, Mahoragas, Kimbhas, Pritas, Pikas, Tanas, Kaptanas. All of the assembled humans and non-humans were very frightened and in despair. They were bewildered about what was here and what was there, and in their confusion they were not able to perceive one another. In that state, they asked questions such as, what is this, how did this come about, and what the Khagavastra 3 is the nature of this, but could find nothing. At that time, the great Bodhisattva Mahasattva known as Great Nail of Brahm, bowed down toward the Bhagavan with folded hands and said, ordinary beings do not recognize the nature of all phenomena. They live in the form aggregate, and so their six sense faculties become deluded. There is not a single aggregate to be seen. Yet ordinary beings conceptualize the form aggregate. Consequently, some of these people develop doubts about the Buddha's teaching. It is for them that the Bhagavan taught the characteristics of the suchness of phenomena. Thus, here and there, they come to know the characteristics of space, which bears everything. This indeed is brave equipoise. F.265.b, a state that cannot be expressed. A most precious wish-fulfilling jewel rests on the crown of his head. Those who perceive a precious Indrana jewel from afar are very fortunate beings. They will perfect the brave progression. All who have come to see the teacher are wise. Indeed, today in this place, a profound discourse will undoubtedly be proclaimed. O Bhagavan, please give relief to the sentient beings who have come here. Bringing them to full maturation for the Kagavastra is the hero's sphere of activity. The Bhagavan replied, it is just as you have said. The place where the all-basis is heard, and where, with wisdom, sentient beings are established. That place is the sphere of activity of meditative concentration. It is the sphere of activity of the Bodhisattva Kagava, who has demonstrated the meditative concentration free of appearances and free of proliferations. Whoever is attached to the two views will later be in a realm of delusion. Attachment to eternalism and nihilism is utter delusion about here and there. Those who wish to free themselves completely from both of these views should meditate on that which is inexpressible, thereby swiftly attaining the grounds. Listen well, O companions, for Bodhisattva Mahasattva who are beginners, one must explain the 6 perfections with a reference point, with the notion that suchness is expressible. That is to say, they must understand the nature of the great elements to be arising and perishing. Only then should they familiarize themselves with the idea that all phenomena are in essence inexpressible, non-arising, non-ceasing, not perceptible, and not in the slightest way existing. Thus will they definitively abandon eternalism and nihilism, the Kagavastra 5. And they will not be at all frightened or terrified. Once they have ceased to relate to phenomena with attachment, F.266.a, they will swiftly perfect the 6 perfections and henceforth not remain in either nihilism or eternalism. No sooner had the Bhagavan spoken than all those assembled in the retinue saw the manifestations in the same way they had previously seen, heard, understood, and known them. Thereupon, extending his right arm, the Bhagavan proclaimed, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Kagava is meditative. Concentration is like an ocean. This Bodhisattva's training is like Mount Meru, his primordial wisdom like space, his vigor like wind, and his tolerance like a Vajra. He is like a supreme victory banner among all Bodhisattva. For voyagers to Nirva, he is like a captain. He is like a treasure of all the roots of virtue. For all who suffer, he is like a wishing vas, for those engulfed in darkness, like the sun, for those who have lost their way, like the moon, for the frightened, like Mount Meru, for those severely tormented by the sickness of afflictions, like a medicinal elixir. For those who have severed the roots of virtue and fallen, like a walking stick. For those who make a living by weaving garlands, he is like a fleur. For those who observe woes, like a mirror. For those who have conscientiousness and modesty, like clothing. For travelers to Nirva, like a footbridge. For voyagers to the other shore, like a boat. For travelers to the higher realms, like a staircase. For those suffering from insults and slander, he is like a parasol. For those facing opposition, like a lion. For the rains, like water. For those fighting against Mra, like armor. For those who have mistaken the precepts, like the opening of their eyes, for all harvests of the roots of virtue, like the earth. F.266.b, for the sick he is like a doctor, for the hungry, like grain, for the thirsty, like a water crystal. 27 For the exhausted, like a bed, for those in meditative concentration, like a fire lens. 28 For those who have entered the path to enlightenment. 6 The Kagavastra, like a chariot, for those playing in parks, like a pool, for those striving toward enlightenment, like a rosary. Thus does he appear. This son of noble family is like the fruition of the perfections, like a wish-fulfilling jewel for those on the 10th ground, like a wish-fulfilling tree for those who have achieved the meditative concentration of brave progression. For all who are engaged in negative views, he is like a weapon because he severes, for those afflicted beings entangled in latent tendencies. He is like a Vajra because he overcomes. The demons cannot conquer him. For those of skillful means, he is the measure of time. 29 For primordial wisdom, he is discernment. For the entire Buddhism, he is the abode. For pratyakas, like a garland. For all are avitmakron. Vakas, like the robes. For gods, like an eye. For humans, like a path. For those born in the animal realm, a shelter. For pritas, a support. For held beings, a protector. For those sentient beings who receive donations, he transforms into a container. For Bodhisattva, into a chariot. For all the Tathagata, a hak. Perfectly complete Buddha of the 3 times, this son of noble family is like a minister. He is the gatekeeper of the city of them. This son of noble family possesses the perfect Buddha primordial wisdom complete with all adornments, including the 18 excellent qualities unique to a Buddha. This son of noble family is someone whom all sentient beings, with the exception of the Tathagatas, should worship with every supreme offering. Therefore, all of you who have gathered here should now welcome him. F.267.a. Using every mode of worship and respect, honor him as much as you can with jeweled umbrellas, victory banners, flags, flowers, incense, garlands, ointments, divine garments, ornaments, and vessels of many kinds. Honor, venerate, and revere him. Sweep his path, adorn him with ornaments, and praise him in different ways. All of you will also acquire excellent qualities like his, and before long become vessels like the Kagavastra 7. Him. All in the assembly without exception then rose from their seats and turned towards where the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Kagava appeared. With overjoyed hearts, happily smiling faces, and eyes full of admiration, they stood with palms joined and gazed at him. In that assembly were Bodhisattva Mahasattva and Ruvakas, the Lord of Devas, the Lord of Angas, the Lord of Yakas, the Lord of Gandharvas, the Lord of Asuras, the Lord of Garudas, the Lord of Kinnaras, the Lord of Mahoragas, and hermits in possession of the 5 kinds of supernatural knowledge. All of them were thinking the same thought. What kind of sublime display shall we prepare to honor him with? At that very moment, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Kagava manifested this Buddha field, the Sa world, as being made entirely of 7 precious materials. It was free of mountains, highlands, rocky landscapes, caves, ravines, abysses, grasses, walls, soil, thorns, unpleasant odors, and so on, and was smooth like the palm of a hand. He manifested melodies sung by the glorious Gandharvas, F.267.b, and all the trees, made of 7 precious materials, bore delicious fragrances, leaves, flowers, and fruits. He also caused all of the trees, grass, dry wood, and leaves, everything on the ground, to appear as if made of the 7 precious materials. Moreover, he completely healed the diseases of the entire world. He pacified all the sufferings of hell beings, and of those abiding in the animal realms and in the world of Yam, the Lord of Death. These beings received food, drink, clothing, warm robes, and ornaments. At that moment, the wishes of all beings in the realm of the world were completely fulfilled. They were possessed of good bodies, alluring beauty, sublime, excellent complexions, and perfect limbs. The bright radiance of an illuminating orb of light, free of dust and dimness, made them even more beautiful. They were free of mental afflictions, ate the Kagavastra. Their minds were very calm, inclined to every kind of virtue, and their faith in the 3 jewels deepened. Next, he manifested precious jewels in the hands of all the beings gathered in this assembly, each jewel radiating its own light rays. The entire realm of the world was completely pervaded by that great light. Different kinds of melodious sounds also emanated from those jewels as a rain of a multitude of jewels showered down. Rains of various fine garments, of ornaments, of flowers, incense, garlands, parasols, vessels, and of fruit, F.268.A, also showered down. He produced manifestations of divine garments, warm robes, golden threads, and pearl necklaces, of lotus flowers, utpala flowers, jasmine, and white lotuses, of urgasala trees, snake heart, sandalwood, thamala tree leaves, and of white sandalwood powder scattered along the path. On both sides of the road, right and left, he produced manifestations of residences resembling the celestial palace of Indra and divine mansions made of the 7 precious materials. In those palaces, he manifested the Lord of Desire Kme Varas, most sublime consort and her retinue. They were playing pleasant music endowed with the 5 qualities, and were engaging in joyful play and entertainment. He also produced a manifestation that exquisitely decorated the sky above the Bhagavana's head, made of jewel filigrees and garlands of pearl jewelry, vast by some 100 yojnas. It resembled the great Brahma's parasol of divine precious jewels. From these ornaments the sound of melodious songs of the 5 qualities, even more beautiful than divine music, also emerged. The grass, woods, leaves, flowers, fruit, and everything on the ground, too, emitted scintillating music of 5 qualities, even more beautiful than divine music, from which words of praise emerged. No one who heard these sounds would ever turn away from attaining complete and perfect enlightenment. When the assembly saw the grand display of the Bodhisattva the Kagavastra 9 Mahasattva Kagava, the entire gathering had the most wonderful and marvelous experiences. They wondered, how shall we arrange the seat of this holy being in the presence of the Bhagavan? At that very moment a lotus flower appeared in front of the Bhagavan. Made of precious substances, it had a stem of silver, leaves of gold, F.268.B, a core of emerald, and flower anthers made of the light of Brahma's precious stone. Its width was about 1 krosa. Myriad kinds of lotus anther seats emerged in front and around it. On the lotus, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Kagava appeared, sitting cross-legged. On his crown there was a precious jewel. Similarly, many myriads of Bodhisattva Mahasattva, servants of the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Kagava, appeared, sitting on their respective lotus anther seats. They were absorbed in the meditative concentration of brave progression. Each was adorned with an Indrandla jewel. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Vyagyaja, all Bodhisattva of great renown respectfully pay homage. First, when they arrive, and only then do they take their seats. When this great being arrived, and made his grand displays, he appeared sitting on his seat, without having prostrated to the Buddha. Vyagyaja replied, we see that this great being dwells excellently in the Buddhadom. Since he does not dwell in discursive thought, we do not see him as a sentient being. 10. The Kagavastra. Bodhisattva Maitreya asked, since he abides in final reality, we do not see him as a sentient being. If that is so, to what purpose has he made this great display? I am afflicted by doubts, please explain further. At this, Vyagyaja replied, immature beings do not understand ultimate reality. Their experience is a complete mental construction. This is a hero's method that brings these sentient beings to maturity. By means of ultimate reality, suffering beings will be completely freed. To this end, F.269.a. By means of relative truth, the skillful ones manifest displays such as this one here. The Bhagavan now said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Vyagyaja, what you say is well spoken, well spoken. Indeed, it is exactly as you say, holy being. However many immature, ordinary beings there may be, not one of them understands the field of experience, practice, or liberation of a streamentara. Imagine that all sentient beings had become streamentaras. Even then, not one of them would understand the field of experience, practice, or liberation of a single once returner. Similarly, once returners would not understand non-returners, non-returners would not understand arhats, and arhats would not understand Pratyeka Buddha. Even if all sentient beings had become Pratyeka Buddha, who dwell alone like the rhinoceros, none of them would understand the field of experience of a single Bodhisattva who has attained acceptance. The Kagavastra 11. That phenomena are non-arising, nor his liberation, his analysis of ultimate reality, or his practice of bringing sentient beings to complete spiritual maturity. Imagine that all sentient beings had attained acceptance that phenomena are non-arising. Even so, not one of them would understand the field of experience of a single Bodhisattva who has realized discriminating awareness and attained the meditative concentration of brave progression. Nor would they fathom his aspirations, or the transformative power of his investigating ultimate reality. An uncountable number of eons ago, this son of noble family, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Kagava, attained acceptance that phenomena are non-arising, attained discriminating awareness, and attained the meditative concentration of brave progression. Hence, he knows the mentalities and latent tendencies of the beings now present in my great assembly. F.269.b. Indeed, some of the beings came here for the great display. In order to observe meditative concentration and a great display, one must abide on the level of freedom from attachment. The son of noble family did not appear in this way to those beings, but instead came from the western direction to this place and displayed meditative concentration and the supernatural knowledge of the basis of perception of Vakas, Pratyeka Buddha, and of the extraordinary beings of the boundless infinity of space. Ordina. Our sentient beings, however, became very disheartened, so he then showed a great display, created on the level of relative truth, in order to bring all sentient beings to complete maturity. He also showed a great display of meditative concentration. If the son of noble family had manifested a display of unborn ultimate reality, then the world's inhabitants, including the gods, would have become confused and defiled. since even Bodhisattva dwelling on the grounds up to the 8th ground may become defiled, they themselves do not have the capacity to display such a field of experience, and the 12 the Akasagharba, distinguishing qualities of his practice. Thus he abides in the qualities of the profound them. This son of noble family abides in the understanding of skillful means. He possesses all the ocean-like qualities of a Buddha, has no doubt, and is a wise person who does not need to depend on others' wisdom. He is like the supreme victory banner of all Bodhisattva, suitable for a king. This son of noble family, the Bodhisattva Akasagharba, shows all beings the way to rebirth in the higher realms and to liberation. He frees them completely of the disease of mental afflictions, and cures the body's poisons, the diseases derived from the 4 great elements. Even those sentient beings who, suffering in the desolate place of Sutra, have become polluted by their negative views and do not know the means to reach the higher realms and liberation may utter the name of the Bodhisattva Akasagharba, pay homage, F.270.a, and offer perfume and incense of aloe wood. And this son of noble family examines their mentalities and latent tendencies, how they are influenced by afflicted views, and how they generated roots of merit in the past, and he understands how their minds have to be trained. He teaches them how to generate roots of virtue toward the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, or else the meritorious character of the essence of giving, of ethical discipline, or meditation, whichever might be appropriate. Whether in dreams or during waking hours, in all these ways the skillful one teaches the path directly and with straightforward methods. These methods quickly liberate beings from negative views and actions, from unwholesome intentions, from wrong objects of refuge, and from a mind engaged in negativity. It is certain that their actions of body, speech, and mind will become upright, their aspirations will become honest, and they will follow an honest spiritual friend. They will quickly be freed from stains, from mental afflictions, and from negative views. All the unwholesome paths that lead to the lower realms will the Akasagharba 13 swiftly be purified by the power of aspirations and the activities of excellent conduct. He also teaches the methods that allow beings to swiftly gain control over their own minds and abide in profound tolerance. If those sentient beings who suffer from various physical diseases, whose minds are distracted, who have impaired eyesight, who are inarticulate, or who are physically disabled in any way, wholeheartedly recite the name of the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Akasagharba in order to pacify their diseases and reach a state free of ills, F.270.b, and if they burn aloe wood and Chinese incense and prostrate to the holy being Akasagharba, then that son of noble family will appear in their dreams in front of them in the guise of a Brahman, Sakra, or Saraswat, a king, minister, hero, doctor, father, mother, boy, or girl. In the dreams he will sit before sick people and manifest whatever appropriate medicine and instruments can pacify their illness. And with one treatment he will heal all illness. Similarly, the son of noble family teaches the appropriate methods to those who desire good advice or possessions, wish to recite prayers and to study, long for solitude, desire to abide firmly in meditative concentration, gain wisdom, be famous, or learn crafts, those who desire power, a good body, wealth, saint lines, a high caste, a son, or a servant, those who desire good qualities, or giving, ethical discipline, and the other perfections up to wisdom, those who desire soft-spoken words, to be in harmony with other beings, liberation from negativity, or to bring others to the practice of all of the perfections from giving to wisdom, those who desire a long life, or to have property and never lack it, and those who wish to cause the stingy to be generous, the immoral to be ethical, or the lazy to be diligent. F.271.a Those who are never lacking in great compassion, and who observe themselves and practice equanimity toward all beings, thinking, by whatever means necessary, I will place these beings' minds in unsurpassable, 14 the Akasagharba, perfectly complete enlightenment, I will familiarize them with skillful means, I will anchor them in all the mental states from the four sublime abodes 30 up to great compassion, they should all pay homage to the Bodhisattva Akasagharba. In a remote place, or in the open plains, or in an unsheltered place, they should burn incense of aloe wood and Chinese incense at specific times. With palms joined, they should make prostrations with the 5 limbs 31 in all the cardinal and secondary directions and recite the words of this mantra. Tadayak vertical bar sumrisa vertical bar sumrisa vertical bar kriyika vertical bar karakara vertical bar vikara vertical bar Saka vertical bar kriyika vertical bar murmur vertical bar vegadhari vertical bar makami vertical bar bhujapta vertical bar mahkriyik vertical bar sintamai 32. Priya vertical bar kriyika vertical bar Serve amestapya vertical bar ajdri vertical bar sfugu vertical bar ruti Viveka Gudri Viveka 33 Gun vertical bar Paraya Kriyika vertical bar Printo Mama vertical bar Asa Sev Antha Ca vertical bar Asokagti Sva with Macron Ha with Macron vertical bar. They should recite this mantra many times and then go to sleep. The son of noble family will appear to them in the form of a human being, a wild animal, a bird, in his own form, or as a body that corresponds to their fortune of merit. Or he will employ such methods as using words in a similar way. That method alone has the power to bring billions of beings to complete maturity. Whether they do not follow any path, or practice the Rwaka path, or the Pratyeka Buddha's path. In a single brief instant of wisdom and with just a minimum of skillful means he has the power to place them irrevocably on the unsurpassable Mahayana path, F.271.b, thereby establishing them in meditative concentration, in the grass, in the various states of tolerance, and up to the 10th ground. This shows that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Akasagharba is endowed with inconceivable methods, primordial wisdom, and great compassion. Son of noble family, some people can comprehend the extent the Akasagharba 15 of space, but no one can comprehend the extent of this noble son's methods and primordial wisdom, of his great love and great compassion, the extent to which he has developed the strength of meditative concentration and brings beings to complete maturation. This shows that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Akasagharba possesses inconceivable qualities. Son of noble family, beings who are without deceit, without pretense, are diligent, endowed with honest views, who do not belittle others and do not praise themselves, who have abandoned jealousy and greed, who are free from hypocrisy, and have altruist minds. Such beings are all deeply loved by this son of noble family. He teaches them skillful means, primordial wisdom, vigor, and how to maintain determination. These means, wisdom, vigor, and determination liberate beings from their sufferings and cause them to generate a mind that strives for unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. Moreover, since they dedicate all the roots of virtue to enlightenment, they will never turn away from attaining the state of unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. Their energy, vigor, and great determination will become the great enthusiasm and determination needed to bring the 6 perfections to complete perfection. They will swiftly awaken entirely and perfectly to unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. This shows that the Bodhisattva Akasagharba possesses determination and good qualities that are inconceivable, and that he brings all sentient beings, F.272.a, to complete maturation. The Bodhisattva Maitreya asked the Bhagavan, for what purpose does this son of noble family carry on his head the holiest part of the body, a precious jewel shining with brilliant bright light, whereas other Bodhisattva do not possess anything like it? The Bhagavan replied, the Bodhisattva Akasagharba possesses great compassion, he benefits beings, and liberates them from great suffering. Thus, for all beings who 16 the Akasagharba have commit a root transgression, who are bound for the lower realms, who have exhausted all roots of virtue, for all these frightened beings, this son of noble family is medicine. For those drowning in the pitch-black darkness of ignorance and those tormented by their negative views, he is like the sun. He brings them to disclose their root transgressions, he lifts the doubts from their hearts. For those whose hearts have become like a broken vessel, who have fallen, who have committed a fundamental transgression, who have destroyed all their virtuous qualities, who are bound for the lower realms, who are protectorless, devoid of support, abandoned by all the wise ones, for all of them, this son of noble family is like a crutch. He shows the way, reveals and cleanses all negative actions and all stains. He turns beings away from the paths leading to the lower realms. He is like a chariot. He establishes beings in the higher realms and in the state of liberation. For all beings who have minds entangled in intense desire or intense hatred, who are malevolent, who conceal their faults, whose minds are disturbed by miserliness, who grope in darkness because of extreme dullness, F.272.b, who proclaim the non-existence of causality, who hold the view that one should be fearless concerning the next life, who lack contentment in their accumulation of wealth, and whose minds are constantly involved in all the 10 unwholesome actions, this son of noble family performs every role, from closing the door to the lower realms up to serving as a chariot. He establishes those sentient beings in the higher realms and in the state of liberation. For these reasons, with the exception of the Tathagata, Arhat, completely perfect Buddha, the whole world including the gods should worship this son of noble family. Bodhisattva Maitreya asked, Bhagavan, sentient beings stained by a root transgression forfeit their roots of virtue and are bound for the lower realms. They are in a state of transgression and will be deprived of any happiness of the god the Akasagharba 17 and human realms. Yet this son of noble family brings about these beings' fulfillment with the bliss of the higher realms and liberation. What are these particular transgressions? The Bhagavan answered, son of noble family, there are 5 root transgressions for a Khatri on whom royal authority has been bestowed. By committing any of these root transgressions, a Khatri upon whom royal authority has been bestowed will forfeit all previously generated roots of virtue, and will be in a state of transgression. Such a Khatri will be deprived of all the happiness of the god and human realms, and will go to the lower realms. What are these 5 transgressions? Son of noble family, 4. A Khatri on whom royal authority has been bestowed, stealing from a place of worship, stealing that which has been offered to the LOC, Al-Saga or the Saga of the 4 directions, or inciting someone to steal it, these constitute the first root transgression. Forcing someone to give up the dharma, whether it is the instructions on the Rvakas definite deliverance, the instructions on the Pratyeka Buddha definite deliverance, or the instructions on the Mahayana definite deliverance, as well as creating obstacles to the teachings, or concealing them. F.273.a. All of these constitute the second root transgression. Taking by force the saffron robes of those who have shaved their heads and beards for my sake and donned the saffron robes, whether they uphold the precepts or not, whether they observe the discipline or not, thus making them householders, inflicting corporal punishment on them, imprisoning or killing them, all of these constitute the third root transgression. Furthermore, a Kshatriya commits the fourth root transgression with any one of these five heinous deeds, purposely killing one's own mother, father, or a Vaka, a Hak, or the Bhagavan, dividing the Saga, or purposely and out of negative intention causing a Tathgata, a Hak, perfectly complete Buddha to bleed. 18. The Kagavastra. Furthermore, if a Kshatriya advocates the philosophy of the non-existence of causality, denies the existence of future lives, embraces the 10 paths of unwholesome action and engages in them, and also influences many other people to follow the 10 paths of unwholesome action, manipulates them, encourages them and brings them to do so, these actions constitute the fifth root transgression. Son of noble family, if a Kshatriya on whom royal authority has been bestowed commits any of these five root transgressions, this Kshatriya will forfeit all previously generated roots of virtue. He will be in a state of transgression. Such a Kshatriya will be deprived of any happiness of the god and human realms, and will be bound for the lower realms. When that happens, the Bodhisattva Kagava will manifest his birth and appear in an uncivilized land or another place, manifesting for some in the form, attire, and conduct of a monastic, for others in the form, attire, and conduct of a Brahman. F.273.b. However and wherever he manifests, he will explain the Dharma to such Kshatriyas. He will explain and teach the hitherto unheard of, the unprecedented, the instructions of the Omniscient One, the deep and profound strass, the grass, tolerance, and the grounds. And for this reason the Kshatriyas on whom royal authority has been bestowed will be caused to develop shame about their previous negative and unwholesome actions. They will reprimand themselves and disclose, give up, and abandon negative actions. They will develop great enthusiasm for giving, discipline, taking precepts, and determination, and they will reach the higher realms. Maitreya, the transgressions of a minister are also 5 in number. What are these 5? Stealing from a place of worship, or from the saga of the 4 directions is considered the first root transgression of a minister. Destroying a village, a district, or a town constitutes the second root transgression. Furthermore, for a minister, forcing somebody to give up the Dharma, the Kagavastra 19. Whether this entails the instructions on the Vakas definitive deliverance, the instructions on the Pratyeka Buddha definite deliverance, or the instructions on the definite deliverance of the Omniscient One, as well as creating obstacles for the teachings or concealing them, these constitute the third root transgression. Furthermore, for a minister, harming those who have taken ordination with the Bhagavan, whether they uphold the precepts or not, whether they observe the discipline or not, taking by force their saffron robes and making them householders, resorting to corporal punishment, imprisoning them or taking their lives, these all constitute the fourth root transgression. Finally, for a minister to commit one or more of the 5 heinous deeds, F.274.a, constitutes the fifth root transgression. Son of noble family, if a minister commits any of the 5 root transgressions, he will forfeit all previously generated roots of virtue, and will be in a state of transgression. Such a minister will be deprived of any happiness of the god and human realms, and will descend to the hell realms. Then, for the sake of such a person, the Bodhisattva Kagava will be born, live, and teach in the land of the uncivilized or another place. For some beings he will manifest in the form, attire, and conduct of a monk, for others in various other forms and attires, including that of a girl, and he will teach them, irrespective of where and in which guise he has manifested. He will explain them to those ministers. He will explain and teach the hitherto unheard of, the unprecedented, the instructions of the Omniscient One, the deep and profound strass, the grass, tolerance, and the grounds. Then those ministers will be made to develop shame about their previous unwholesome negative actions. They will reprimand themselves and disclose, give up, and relinquish negative actions. And they will eagerly practice giving, discipline, and having determination for the woes, and they will reach the higher realms. 20. The Kagavastra. Son of noble family, there are 5 root transgressions for Vakas. Which are the 5? They are killing, taking what was not given, impure conduct, lying, and physically harming or drawing blood from the body of a Tathagata. These are the 5.34. According to how it has always been explained, when Vakas commit any of these root transgressions, the Bodhisattva Kagava will manifest birth in different places for the benefit of those beings. To some he teaches in the form of a monastic with the appropriate attire and conduct, f.274.b, and so forth, including all forms previously mentioned, and those beings will reach the higher realms. There are 8 root transgressions for sons of noble family, who are beginners and who have correctly embarked on the Mahayana path. These root transgressions cause confusion, and beginners who have correctly entered the Mahayana will forfeit the entirety of their previously generated roots of virtue, and they will be in a state of transgression. They will be deprived of the happiness of gods, of humans, and of the Mahayana, go to the lower realms, be separated from a spiritual friend, and remain in Sutra for a very long time. What are the 8? There are beings who were born in this worldly realm of afflictions and 5 impurities because they conducted themselves in evil ways in the past. They rely upon a spiritual friend and listen to the most profound Mahayana owing to the tiny root of virtue they possess. Though they do so with little understanding, those sons of noble family give birth to the aspiration to unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. Some beginner Bodhisattva among them listen to the collection of straws that present the most profound emptiness, transmit, and read them in the presence of other sentient beings who understand as little as those just mentioned. They recall these straws in great detail in word and meaning, just as they heard and understood it, and they teach them to others. When those ordinary, immature beings who have not gone through arduous the Kagavastra 21 training hear such profound straws, they become extremely frightened and terrified. Because they are terrified, they turn back from attaining unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment and aspire to the vehicle of the Vakas. This is the first root transgression for a beginner Bodhisattva. Son of noble family, due to this root transgression, they will forfeit the entirety of their previously generated roots of virtue. They will be in a state of transgression and be deprived of the happiness of the higher realms and of liberation. f.275.a. They will betray their Bodhisattva, the mind of enlightenment, and go to the lower realms. It is like this. Just as, for instance, one travels the great ocean in stages, similarly Bodhisattva must initially know other sentient beings, their inclinations and latent tendencies. In accordance with the other beginner Bodhisattva predispositions, they must teach the Dharma step by step. The Bodhisattva Akasagharba manifests his birth and appears in different places for their benefit. Therefore, if beginner Bodhisattva who have incurred such a rude transgression and are terrified by the lower realms hear the name of the Bodhisattva Akasagharba and wish to see him in order to disclose those transgressions, they should burn aloe wood and Chinese or other incense, join their palms, and utter the name of the Bodhisattva Akasagharba at the break of dawn. Having seen such sentient beings, this son of noble family will manifest in a form corresponding to their respective fortunes. Thus, in the presence of some, he will manifest in an ordinary form and teach the Dharma. In the presence of others, he will teach in the form of a Brahman, and in the presence of yet others he may manifest in any other form, including the form of a girl, and cause the beginner Bodhisattva to disclose their root transgressions just as they occurred. He also teaches them expertise in skillful means, the profound conduct of the unsurpassable Mahina. He establishes them in meditative 22 the Akasagharba Sutra, concentration, tolerance, the grass, and the grounds. As a result, they will be completely liberated from the lower realms, and will not turn back from attaining perfectly complete enlightenment. In Vajra-like manner, they will rely upon the 6 perfections with great strength and determination, and will soon manifestly and completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. If F.275.b, he does not directly appear in front of them, the beginner Bodhisattva should rise before dawn and pray to Arua, uttering these words, Arua, O Arua, endowed with great compassion. O Arua, as soon as you have risen in this world, enfold me in your compassion. Convey these words of mine to Akasagharba, the one of great compassion. Please show yourself in my dreams so that I may disclose my root transgressions. Lead me to obtain the great eyes of wisdom, endowed with the skillful means of the noble Mahina. Then they should go back to bed to sleep. Here too, the Bodhisattva Akasagharba will appear at the break of dawn in the dreams of those beginner Bodhisattva who have committed a transgression, and with great skillful means of primordial wisdom he will lead them to disclose their root transgressions. He also teaches primordial wisdom endowed with skillful means. This enables the beginner Bodhisattva to obtain the meditative concentration called not forgetting the mind of enlightenment at that very moment. They will firmly abide by the Mahina and swiftly come to complete the 6 perfections. Furthermore, beginner Bodhisattva may say to some people, you are not able to engage in the practice of the 6 perfections. You are not able to manifestly and completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. Therefore, quickly turn your minds to either the Rwaka vehicle or the Pratyekabuddha vehicle and you will swiftly be definitively released from Sutra. Speaking these words is the second root transgression for a beginner Bodhisattva. The Akasagharba Sutra 23. Furthermore, beginner Bodhisattva may say to some, oh, what is the use of practicing the Vinaya of individual liberation? F.276.a, ethical discipline, and good conduct. You should swiftly bring forth the mind that strives for unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment and study the Mahina. Then even the tiniest unwholesome deeds you have committed with your body, speech, and mind due to the afflictions will be purified, and they will not come to maturation. Saying these words is the third root transgression for beginner Bodhisattva. Furthermore, son of noble family, beginner Bodhisattva may say to some, son of noble family, eschew the discourses of the Rwaka vehicle. Do not listen to them, do not read them, and do not teach them to others. Son of noble family, eschew the discourses of the Rwaka vehicle. They are the reason why you cannot obtain the great result, why you are not able to eradicate the afflictions. Therefore, have faith in the discourses of the Mahayana. Listen to the Mahayana, study the Mahayana, and teach it to others. Thus you will not go to the lower realms, you will not enter any path leading to the lower realms, and swiftly you will manifestly and completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. If these words are spoken, and the listener acts accordingly and adopts a similar view, then both actions incur a root transgression. This is the fourth root transgression of beginner Bodhisattva. Furthermore, beginner Bodhisattva may be two-faced, thinking one thing but professing another. They may also propagate and versify the Mahayana teachings, and for the purpose of gain and honor they may chant those verses, recite, memorize, read, and explain them, and even teach others things that they have merely heard, saying, I am a follower of the Mahayana, f.276.b. Others, however, are not. Because they seek gain and honor, they act jealously and become upset when others are appreciated and respected. Uttering their names, they disparage, abuse, and speak badly of them, praising themselves 24 the Akasagharba. Instead, out of jealousy, they say, I possess supreme qualities. This action constitutes a transgression and deprives them of the happiness of the Mahayana. It is therefore considered a very serious transgression that leads to rebirth in the lower realms. The analogy here is of a group of people who wish to go to a jewel island and set out to cross the great ocean by boat, but the boat breaks apart in the great ocean. In the same way, even though these beginner Bodhisattva wish to cross the great ocean of the Mahayana, they destroy their boat of faith and part from the vital force of wisdom when they lie out of jealousy. Therefore, beginner Bodhisattva incur a very weighty transgression when they lie out of jealousy. This is the fifth root transgression for beginner Bodhisattva. Furthermore, son of noble family, in the future there will be beginner Bodhisattva, householders or ordained, who will read, recite, and chant stras that contain profound emptiness. These Mahayana stras are the object of understanding of Bodhisattva, who need only little effort, and who are greatly intelligent beings, adorned with grace, tolerance, meditative concentration, and the grounds. Having recited them, they extensively teach these stras to others. They say, I have understood these teachings with my own intelligence, I teach them to you in this way because I am compassionate. Therefore, you must meditate on this profound them in order to directly perceive it, f.277.a, and you too will come to behold primordial wisdom, just as I do now. Instead of stating, I have not actualized this most profound them, but teach it by merely reading it out, they promote themselves for the purpose of gain and honor. Therefore, in the eyes of the Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly complete Buddha of the three times, Bodhisattva Mahasattva, and noble beings, they have become stained by faults. A heavy transgression has occurred. Having deceived gods and humans using the Mahayana, there will be no Vaka vehicle of the Buddha for the Akasagharba 25. Those Bodhisattva, much less the Mahayana, or the particular realizations which are the entry into the Mahayana, or unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. The analogy here is that of someone who travels out into the great secluded wilderness, where he suffers hunger, thirst, and exhaustion. He then approaches a tree, intending to eat of the great fruit it bears. However, ignoring the tree with its fine aroma and delicious fruit, he seems instead a poisonous tree, bearing fruit devoid of taste, and eats its poisonous fruit. In doing so, he causes his own death. Such a beginner Bodhisattva committing the sixth transgression is said to be like the person in this analogy. Therefore, if beginner Bodhisattva who have gained this hard to achieve human birth live with a spiritual friend and wish to enter the Mahayana, yet praise themselves and disparage others for the purpose of gain, honor, and fame, they incur a serious transgression. Because of this root transgression, all the wise ones will strongly criticize them and they will go to the lower realms. No Kshatriya, Brahman, Vaisya, or Sudra will rely upon such a person. Anyone who does rely upon such a person is definitely unwise. This, again, is the sixth root transgression for beginner Bodhisattva. Furthermore, son of noble family, in the future Kshatriyas will have dishonorable 35 advisors 36 and ministers, dishonorable soldiers, F.277.b, and physicians, rich and powerful fools who are proud of their expertise. Seeming to engage in many meritorious deeds of giving, they will become proud and haughty due to their giving. Out of arrogance and pride, they will cause division within the Kshatriyas, as well as separation between the monastics and the Kshatriyas. Backed by the Kshatriyas, they may even punish the monastics, robbing them by imposing fines. Thus, being wronged, those monastics will steal from whichever individual, local Sangha of the four directions, and whichever place of worship they can, and give 26 the Kagavastra, what they have robbed to pay their fine. And those dishonorable people in turn will offer this to the Kshatriyas. Both of these actions become root transgressions. This is the seventh root transgression. Furthermore, those dishonorable Kshatriyas together with the monastics commit the following fault. They declare pure them to be non-them, and refer to that which is non-them as them, thus abandoning the true them. They do not observe the precepts of the Stras and the Vinaya, nor do they observe the black teachings 37 nor the great teachings. Having abandoned their training in loving kindness, great compassion, and the perfection of wisdom, as well as their training in skillful means and the trainings taught in other Stras, they organize duties for the monastic community that are dissociated from such meritorious activities in order to harm the bhikkhus. Because such duties have been organized, the bhikkhus are harmed. They abandon the practices of calm abiding and special insight. Harmful intentions multiply in those meditators, as a result of which they cannot pacify their unpacified emotions. As these do not subside, these bhikkhus then degenerate in terms of intention, ethical discipline, conduct, and view. Therefore, they become negligent, and ever more negligent, and their ethical discipline degenerates. Even though they are not monastics, they pretend to be, and even though they do not lead a chaste life they pretend to. F.278.a, they resemble donkeys, and they explain the them most clearly. Once they have been greatly honored and venerated by the Kshatriyas and their retinues and have received their offerings, they criticize, in front of the householders, the other bhikkhus who diligently practice relinquishment. And the Kshatriyas together with their retinues become angry at the bhikkhus who diligently practice relinquishment, and disparage them. If the support and material riches that were destined for the bhikkhus who diligently practice relinquishment are offered to the Kagavastra 27 bhikkhus exerting themselves in recitation, at this point, then both actions 38 become root transgressions. Why? Because the bhikkhu meditators are holy, while those who only recite and advise others are not. The bhikkhu meditators have become vessels for meditative concentration, grass, tolerance, and the grounds They have become holy beings worthy of receiving offerings. They have become sacred vessels. They illuminate the world and show the way, liberating beings from the realm of karma and afflictions and placing them on the path leading beyond sorrow. Son of noble family, since they have no misgivings concerning such actions and fear no consequences, this is the eighth root transgression for beginner Bodhisattva. When beginner Bodhisattva commit these root transgressions, they forfeit all previously generated roots of virtue. They have incurred a transgression, will be deprived of the happiness of the higher realms and of liberation, and have deceived themselves. Son of noble family, for the benefit of beginner Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva Kagava is born and appears in the places where such Bodhisattva dwell. To some he teaches in the form of a monastic with the appropriate attire and conduct, displaying to others a variety of forms, from that of a Brahman with the proper attire and conduct to the semblance and conduct of an animal. For an extensive explanation of this, one should read the Sutra on the meditative concentration of brave progression. Ragmasamdhistra. 39. Kagava teaches the term in various places according to the specificities of various beings. F.278.b, he conveys the Sutras, meditative concentration, tolerance, and Bodhisattva grounds taught by the Omniscient One in a way that was previously unheard of and unprecedented. Consequently, beginner Bodhisattva ignorant of skillful means who have incurred transgressions are ashamed. Because of those transgressions, they are very frightened and terrified. They disclose the transgressions, give them up, and reject them. 28. The Kagava Sutra. If, upon hearing the name of the Bodhisattva Kagava, those beings wish to see him, and if, fearful of falling to the lower realms, they wish to disclose their root transgressions, pay homage to the Bodhisattva Kagava, and call out his name. Then, son of noble family, in accordance with their merit, he will stand before those sentient beings as an ordinary person, or in front of those beginner Bodhisattva in various forms, from that of a Brahman to that of a girl, and make them disclose those transgressions just as they have occurred. He displays his profound skill in means and shows them how to engage in the unsurpassable Mahina. On the various Bodhisattva grounds, he establishes them in meditative concentration, grace, and tolerance by having them gradually practice the entire eightfold path. He frees them completely from their immense fear of the lower realms and establishes them on the stage of not turning away from unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. As quick as a flash of lightning, they thereby become very strong and determined in the practice of the six perfections. In this way they swiftly come to manifestly and completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. If he does not show himself to them directly, the beginner Bodhisattva who pray to him and who have erred in their ways should rise during the watch of dawn, stand facing the eastern direction, and pray to Arua, the divine sun, uttering these words: Arua, O Arua, endowed with great compassion, great fortunate one. F.279.a. As soon as you have risen in this world, enfold me in your compassion. Summon the Bodhisattva Kagava, who is endowed with great compassion, with these my words: show yourself in my dreams that I may disclose my transgressions. Lead me to obtain the skillful means and wisdom of the noble Mahina. Having spoken these words, they should go back to bed to sleep. Then, at the first light of dawn in this world, the Bodhisattva Kagava Sutra 29. Sattva Kagava will come and appear in the dreams of those beginner Bodhisattva, in the guise of an ordinary person, and will make them disclose their root transgressions with great Primordial wisdom and skillful means, that expert in skillful means and primordial wisdom will bring these beginner Bodhisattva to attain the meditative concentration called not forgetting Bodhisattva, the mind of enlightenment at that very moment. They will come to firmly abide by the Mahayana, to swiftly complete the 6 perfections, and, before long, to manifestly and completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfectly complete enlightenment. Such skillful means and wisdom will he also teach them. Son of noble family, this is why the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Akasagharba bears the precious wish-fulfilling jewel, which arises from great bravery, on his head, the holiest part of the body. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva Akasagharba is endowed with inconceivable excellent qualities. Furthermore, son of noble family, if he beings who have heard the name of the Bodhisattva Akasagharba, who draw his form or have made offerings to him, venerate him, revere him deeply, and worship and honor him in numerous ways with flowers, incense, garlands, ointments, parasols, banners of victory, and flags, if they pay homage to him and even offer their lives to him, then those beings, F.279.b, will not die in fire or in water, nor will they be killed with weapons or poison. Except when their lives are naturally exhausted, no one, neither humans nor non-humans, will be able to rob them of their life force. They will not die an untimely death, become sick, or die of hunger or thirst, nor will they be killed by order of a ruler. And for the rest of their lives they will not incur a single transgression. At the time of death they will not see forms with their eyes, hear sounds with their ears, smell odors with their noses, experience tastes with their tongues, or experience tactile objects with their bodies. They will, however, continue to breathe out 30 the Akasagharba, and breathe in with a subtle breath, and their life force, warmth, and consciousness will still remain in their bodies. At that time, the Bodhisattva Akasagharba will show himself to them as an ordinary person. To those beings who in the past revered the Brahmans, this son of noble family will show himself in the form of a Brahman. To those who revere Kmevara, he will display the form of Kmevara. To those who have taken refuge in and revere Nraya, Mahaswara, Sakra, Akakravartin, the sun, the moon, Dhara, Virdhaka, Viruka, or Virva, or who have taken refuge in various objects such as devas, mountains, trees, fountains, ponds, and pools, he will show himself accordingly. And in the form that corresponds to their disposition he will speak the following words. Whoever has insight into the 4 noble truths is liberated from existence in Sutra. Therefore, those dwelling in Sutra should know all 4. Having understood these dharmas, these beings will reach the higher realms, appearing before beings who have strong faith in the Buddha. F.280.a, he will display the form of the Buddha and utter these words. The truth of the Buddha's primordial wisdom frees those dwelling in the ocean of existence. Swiftly attain that primordial wisdom, and you will be liberated from all suffering. At this time, these beings will be joyful and delighted by the sound of those words that bring the Buddha to mind. Then they will die and be reborn in a Buddha field, unsullied and pure, in which a Buddha Bhagavan dwells, lives, and resides, and where he teaches the Dhamma. The same can be said with respect the Akasagharba 31 to the Dhamma and the Sangha. This shows that the Bodhisattva Akasagharba is endowed with inconceivable excellent qualities. Those who wish to perfectly master different kinds of meditative concentration should pay homage to the Bodhisattva Akasagharba during the watch of dawn and make as many offerings as possible, establishing the mind in loving kindness. for all sentient beings, they should then utter these words, give heed to me. Kagava, you have achieved great compassion. I pray, please bestow upon me mindfulness and the yoga of meditative concentration. Thus it is. Omurake vertical bar Bakamanile vertical bar Samudra vertical bar Avadarina vertical bar Nalinaya vertical bar Mahkriik vertical bar Anupamajam Vashanti vertical bar Akrajam Vashanti vertical bar Vajrajam Vashanti vertical bar Kozamti vertical bar Anupamazamti vertical bar Bhatakozamti Sva with Macron Ha with Macron vertical bar. To those who recite in this way, Kagava grants mindfulness and entrance into meditative concentration. Those who desire to study treatises, whether the words of the Buddha or expositions by the Ruvakas, should first bathe and then pay homage to the Bodhisattva Kagava at the break of dawn, make as many offerings as possible, generate loving kindness for all sentient beings, and speak these words, give heed to me. Greatly learned one, among all beings. Kagava, son of noble family beyond imagination, you are supreme. Pray bestow upon me the yoga of mindfulness and meditative concentration. Thus, F.280.b, it is. In la ja vertical bar Vyana Dueja vertical bar Vyavnaja vertical bar Vibkisame vertical bar Puljasi vertical bar Stanarave vertical bar Astrakre vertical bar Humahuma vertical bar Mahkriika Sva with Macron Ha with Macron vertical bar. Those who wish to enter the great ocean or caves, or to make use of the sacred essence 40 who have been imprisoned, are 32 the Kagavastra. Separated from friends, or face hostile people, such beings may call out the name of the Bodhisattva Kagava, make as many offerings as possible, settle the mind in loving kindness for all sentient beings, and utter these words, give heed to me, Kagava of great renown, endowed with great compassion and intent on the welfare of beings. You, who are endowed with great compassion, look upon me, liberate me from these circumstances and bestow good fortune upon me. Supremely powerful one, I am worn out by suffering. I am destitute. Relying upon you, I will attain peace and happiness in this and future lives. Then the Bodhisattva Kagava will appear in front of them, in various forms including that of a common person and that of a girl, and he will bring them relief and free them from whatever fears they may have. This also applies to those who are afraid of fire, water, weapons, toxins, curses, tigers, lions, straw in poisons, thieves, and rogues. 41 are shackled, or punished, or are about to be killed. Those who are struck by a disease or who are afraid of diseases. And those who are bereft of monastic robes, alms, bedding, a seat, medicine to cure disease, or of basic necessities. Some princes, F.281.a, may wish to be promoted to a higher rank. They might utter the name of the Bodhisattva Kagava and pay homage to him, worship and venerate him, and so forth. Having heard the name of the Bodhisattva Kagava, those who wish to be promoted to a high rank among the Brahmins, householders, craftsmen, those engaged in studies, or meditators, up to whatever high rank they aspire to, should pay homage to him. Once they have bathed and put on clean clothes, they should take refuge in the Bodhisattva Kagava during the watch of dawn and pray to him, uttering these words, O Kagava, your compassion is great indeed. I pray, please bestow good fortune upon me. Fulfill my aspirations and intentions, each one of them, according to my wishes. You, who the Kagavastra 33 are endowed with great compassion, grant me whatever I wish, and kindly do whatever I request. If they do all this and utter these words, the Bodhisattva Kagava will hear this with the purified faculty of divine hearing which is beyond human capacity, and show himself to those beings in whatever form is appropriate. He will also teach them such skillful means. The Bodhisattva Akasagharba is endowed with the excellent quality of such skillful means. He is endowed with a great ocean-like mind. Son of noble family, some may be able to estimate how many drops of water are contained in the great ocean, but no one can fathom the extent to which the Bodhisattva Akasagharba is gifted in skillful means and wisdom, or the extent of his activities that ripen sentient beings through skillful means. Son of noble family, some may be able to apprehend the expanse of the whole of the infinite, limitless space in the 10 directions, but it is impossible to fathom the multitude of forms the Bodhisattva Akasagharba takes in order to bring sentient beings to spiritual maturity. Sometimes he manifests in the form of a Buddha in order to ripen sentient beings, f.281.b. Sometimes in the form of a Brahman. He manifests in whatever form is required to tame beings. Among those born in the animal realm, he manifests in the form of an animal, among hell beings in the form of a hell being, and for those of the young world, as a being of the young world, and so forth. For some he emanates as a directly perceptible manifestation, for others he manifests in dreams. For some he manifests in various forms at the time of death and transference, at the last movement of consciousness, in order to eliminate the karma of their negative deeds, to liberate them from the lower realms, to place them in the higher realms, and to bring about the well-being of sentient beings. Having taken refuge in and seen these manifestations, these beings will obtain all forms of 34 the Akasagharba happiness, up to the happiness of abiding in the worlds of the higher realms. It is for this reason that no one can fathom the magnitude of all of the manifestations of Akasagharba. Indeed, the Bodhisattva Akasagharba is endowed with the inconceivably excellent qualities of skillful means and wisdom. He is endowed with the excellent qualities of a Buddha. That is why a precious wish-fulfilling jewel appears on the head, the supreme part of the body of this son of noble family. The entire assembly was amazed and marveled at the Bodhisattva Akasagharba. Having paid homage to their teacher and honored him, they all joined their palms and made offerings to the Bodhisattva Akasagharba, and honored him in various ways. They made offerings of flowers, incense, garlands, ointments, lamps, parasols, victory banners, flags, monastic robes, ornaments, garments, prizes, songs, and symbol music. The Bodhisattva Akasagharba in turn, f.282.a, presented the Bhagavan with all of these offerings, then prostrated at the feet of the Bhagavan and supplicated him with these words: Venerable Bhagavan, in this afflicted Buddha field stained by the 5 impurities, beings are deluded due to the great darkness of ignorance. How can those beings be benefited, so as to bring about their enlightenment? The Bhagavan replied: It is thus, son of noble family. The sky is neither bound nor liberated. It is not afflicted, nor deluded, and is naturally pristine. The wind scatters particles of dust in the sky, and tosses them around. Thus, the sky appears impure, as dark as night. Then water makes the particles fall and renders the sky stainless and completely pristine. In this case, if the stars, the planets, the sun, and the moon are not visible, then the seconds, minutes, hours, 42 days, nights, seasons, and years will be imperceptible as well. The Akasagharba 35. Son of noble family, in the same way, mind, which is pervaded by emptiness, the ultimate reality of the Tathagata, is by nature utterly pristine and pure. However, the minds of sentient beings have been defiled by adventitiously arisen afflictions. For their benefit, the term is taught out of the Tathagata's great compassion, which is likened to water. Sentient beings' afflicted minds are completely purified, rendering them pristine and stainless. Because of this, when the sun of the Tathagata has risen, these beings will be filled with the light rays of primordial wisdom and will actualize the inconceivably excellent qualities of a Buddha. Thus they will be established in the four close applications of mindfulness and so on, up to the eighth branch of the Eightfold Noble Path. They will achieve all possible qualities, up to the 18 unique qualities of a Buddha. All of these beings will be firmly rooted in compassion. From among them, arhats will appear in the world. F.282.b, Pratyeka Buddha and Bodhisattva. Mahasatva will appear in the world. Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly complete Buddha will appear in the world. Son of noble family, what do you think? Does space abide in the eye? Akasagharba replied, Bhagavan, it does not. Does it abide in the eye consciousness? Bhagavan, it does not. Does it abide in that which is apprehended by the eye? Bhagavan, it does not. Does space abide anywhere inside, in the arising of the three feelings 43 caused by the eye apprehending an object? Bhagavan, it does not. The same is to be said about the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the body as well. Son of noble family, what do you think? Does space abide in the mind, or anywhere else up to the arising of the three feelings caused by the mind apprehending an object? 36 The Akasagharba. Bhagavan, it does not. Son of noble family, what do you think? Do sentient beings abide in space? Bhagavan, they do not. What do you think, son of noble family, does space abide in sentient beings? Bhagavan, it does not. Thus did the Bodhisattva Mahasatva Akasagharba reply to the Bhagavan's questions. He continued, Bhagavan, they do not depend on each other. One is not the other's object. Bhagavan, all phenomena are to be understood in this particular way. They are devoid of concepts, they are empty, devoid of superimposition, they are the final reality and suchness. Bhagavan, with regard to the essence of space, it is thus. Its particular characteristic is that it is not differentiated, it is non-conceptual. Completely non-conceptual, unmoving, and lacking in substance. It is devoid of sprout, seed, fruit, and ripening, devoid of words, and of mental fixation. Bhagavan, F.283.a, a Bodhisattva. Mahasatva who understands all phenomena in this way attains acceptance that all phenomena are non-arising. Bhagavan, it is thus. Vyavraja vertical bar Mantakya vertical bar Jinajaya vertical bar Jananima Monihara vertical bar Anayfala vertical bar Dwagava vertical bar Nimasurinya vertical bar Bhupas vertical bar Sataspa vertical bar Samasana vertical bar Tatkama vertical bar Amegu vertical bar Ampoaya vertical bar Amasetanya vertical bar Klentasawe Sva with Macron Ha with Macron vertical bar. The Bhagavan replied, well said, well said. Son of noble family, when you use this graph, the majestic lion turning backwards, which overwhelms everyone who sees him, 44 at the time of death, at the last moment of being's consciousness, you will have the capacity to eliminate their obscuration of afflictions, their obscuration of karma, and their obscuration with regard to phenomena, and send them to the completely pure the Akasagharba 37. Buddha fields. You will go to limitless, uncountable world systems, and by the power of compassion for sentient beings, you will expound various classes of Mahayana stras in the villages, towns, marketplaces, provinces, countries, and kings. Palaces, manifesting in various forms with appropriate attire and conduct. You will bring sentient beings to maturity in such a way that all of them, from the lowliest among Kshatriyas up to the lowliest among the monastics, will be able to abandon the negative dharmas and will abide by the wholesome dharmas. As the Bhagavan was teaching, limitless, countless beings of 9 types of birth among gods and men attained various states of meditative concentration, dras and tolerance, whereas for others the wisdom of the 10 grounds arose. Tens of thousands of beings attained acceptance that all phenomena are non-arising. When beings give up the root of conflict, whatever the quarrels might be about, then the foundation of all views will quickly change. 45. When the Bhagavan had spoken these words, the monks, the entire retinue, and the whole world, including gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, F.283.b, rejoiced and praised the Bhagavan's teachings. This completes the noble Mahayana Kagavastra, edited, translated, and established by the Indian abbot Kyaprava and the monk Ratnakitha.